Hello, I'm recording a series on running form. And the great thing about improving your running form is one, it'll make it easier, but that also translates into running faster. On average, and this will seem very difficult to believe, if I didn't see it in person, I probably wouldn't believe it either. But on average, people, when I put them through my running course, run 30 seconds per mile faster. I've had people 2 weeks later after going through my course take 11, 12 minutes off their half marathon time. So that's nearly a minute per mile faster. What I see is just how much inefficiency people have because most people have never really been taught how to run. And they just go out and they run and they do so many things inefficiently that they're just wasting all kinds of energy. So today what we're going to focus on is the hands and the arm position. And ask yourself, have you ever thought about where you keep your hands and how you move your arms? Have you ever consciously thought about that? I'll tell you what I see. A lot of times I see people running with their hands way down here. And if you want to do an easy drill, run about 30 yards and just notice where your hands are. Are they here? Are they here? Are they here? Notice where they're at. Then run another 30 yards, and if your hands are here, drop them about maybe 2 to 3 inches and run. And as you lower your hands, you're going to notice that the lever, your arm becomes longer. The longer the lever is, the more work it takes and the slower your leg turnover is down here. So if you look at the elite runners, they have their hands up here because it creates a short lever. And so it's really easy to fire their arms through. In fact, you can just do this. Bring your hands up here and then give a little running motion and then lower them. And you can already feel how much extra work it is to have your arms longer with a longer lever, okay? So hand position, what should it be? First thing you want to do is you want to take your elbow and you want to go up to 90 degrees and then you want to go a little bit more than that. So you want it to be 90 degrees. Okay, so that puts your hand about here. It's right about, your where your ribs come together and this is your xiphoid process, right? Breastbone here. You want your hand to be about right there when it's in its position. That's less than 90 degrees, okay? One thing that I see when people do that is they take their hand and they turn it over straight like this. Feel your bicep and then relax your hand. You'll feel your bicep relax and then turn it over this way and you'll feel your bicep tighten. So if you're running like this, even if your hands are here in this 90 degrees, your bicep is going to get tight. Go ahead and just let the hand fall inward a little bit in that position so it relaxes the bicep, okay? Now the other thing that you'll see, so we're starting with elbows, 90 degrees and then a little less than that. And you hear about people talk about, moving your arms backwards. And so what they do is they instinctively go like this. So relax out your hands, bring them in, up like this, a little less than 90 degrees. And now bring them straight like this. And feel the tension in your rear shoulders, your rear deltoid muscle. And so when people hear fire your elbow backwards, they start running like this. And this actually creates a lot of tension, so we don't want that. So when your hands come up, they're not perfectly straight like this. In fact, bring them up like this and then just bring them in. And did you see my shoulders relax? Try it yourself. Come out here and then just let them soften. So we need the shoulders to be relaxed. Otherwise, if they're not relaxed, you're not going to have any swing through on the back. So we need to bring them up less than 90. We need the shoulders to be relaxed. And the way we get them to be relaxed is we let the hands come inward and not out here, okay? And same thing, my hands aren't turned out this way, which contracts the bicep. Instead, they're relaxed. So everything should be relaxed right here, okay? Now, let's talk about elbow movement. We do want the elbow firing backwards, but we don't want it firing straight back like this. This is not going to help you run any more efficiently if it's like this. We need it to move in a backwards direction, but it's not straight back, okay? So it's a little bit off to the angle. And then your upper arm bone, your humerus. One thing you'll see a lot too when people run is they push their arm out too far this way. You don't want your hand nearly that far away from your chest. In fact, you really want your hand probably within another hand width away from your chest. So if you look at my humerus bone, my arm bone right here, we want it to stop right here in alignment with the ribs. And we want all the movement to be back and to the rib cage and back and to the rib cage, as opposed to here. See how my elbow starts moving in front of my rib cage? That's too far of arm extension. And the reason this is important is the more your arm comes out this way, the more it pushes your leg out in front of you, which then causes more of heel striking and more of a braking surface. And the more your elbow moves back this way, the more the stride length opens up behind you and the more hip extension we get and the more power we get. Like if you Google and watch like the Olympics, the 10K or any running distance, not the sprint stuff because that's a different kind of running, but 10K, 5K, marathon, you're gonna see in those elite runners this triangle of space right here. So you see this big triangle right here. The faster they're running, the more arm kickback they get, right? And in sprinting, it's different. It's out here, but that's a different kind of running motion. So for distance running, you want that arm coming back here. You want all of your motion backwards. And again, it's a little bit off to the side. It's not straight back like this. Another thing you'll see when people are running, especially if they're running towards you as you're driving down the road or running, you see a lot where the hands are in this same plane of motion. And you can see my hips going. If you look at my pockets here, you can see my hips wiggling sideways. That's because I'm pushing across my body sideways, which is causing hip wiggle, and that's very inefficient. But if I start driving back this way, my hips are going forward, okay? So that's what we want. So as you're running, you should see separation of your hands. And what do I mean by that? Well, this, you can see how the hands are on the same plane. So if somebody's running towards me and I see their hands not separating, I know that they're wiggling too much. Now look at what I'm talking about. This is hand separation. So one hand is here, one hand is down. As the elbow moves back, the hand is down, and as the elbow comes up, the hand is up like that. So see how that works? So when you're running, you want to, even just looking down, you want to notice that your hands are separating this way and that they're not in this same plane of motion. And that's another great compare and contrast drill as well. Just run 30 yards and run like this and see how much wiggle you get and see how inefficient it is, and then run with some elbow drive, okay? And in fact, if you want to run and really drive your elbows, you'll start to notice that your stride length increases and your speed goes up. May take a little bit more work at first, but as you work on it, it'll become easier. So the first lesson is really just to become aware of where your hands are, where your arms are, and how you move them. And then go through these tips and see if you can become more efficient. And if you have like a Garmin or a Pace device, take this out on the road and run in your baseline. Baseline is your normal way of running. Run that way for like, say, maybe a half a mile, let the pace settle out. And then while you're running, just make these changes. You know, take your arms from down here and bring them up. If they're out here, bring them in. Get a little more elbow drive backwards. And run at just the same effort as before, but see if you notice your pace increases. And a lot of times people will comment that A, it feels easier, and B, it's faster. So they go hand in hand. But if you then do a compare and contrast, like, you know, every half a mile at baseline and then half a mile and sort of new form back to baseline, you really start to notice the differences. Okay, so that's the arm position. And then on the next lesson, we'll get into just sort of body position and what a lot of people call the lean. So kind of falling forward. But for now, let's just spend a week thinking about your arms and your hands and see if you can create a more efficient running style just with those simple tips. All right, thanks. Any questions, as always, just put them in the comments and I can answer them. Thanks.